The American West stretches out like a painting. Endless skies, golden plains, and the promise of freedom. For Gabby Petito and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, this was supposed to be the journey of a lifetime. Two young souls chasing adventure across the country, documenting every sunrise, every mountain trail, and every small town smile through their travel vlog. It was the summer of 2021, and the world was still recovering from isolation. For many, the idea of van life symbolized escape, living free, with only the road ahead. Gabby embraced it fully. Her Instagram feed glowed with positivity. Smiles under desert skies, campfires beneath the stars, her vintage white van framed perfectly against nature's beauty. To her followers, everything seemed perfect. But behind the filters and hashtags, tension had begun to grow. Quiet at first, then visible to anyone who looked closely. Their cross-country trip began in July, leaving from New York and heading west through Kansas, Colorado, and Utah. The couple appeared inseparable, but as the miles passed, so did the harmony. Police body cam footage would later reveal a glimpse into their private struggle, an argument near Arches National Park that drew the attention of bystanders. Officers intervened, separating them for the night, hoping it was just a moment of stress between two travelers far from home. Gabby's soft voice trembled on camera as she told officers she was anxious, that they had been arguing more often. Brian appeared calm, detached, explaining they'd been fighting all morning. No one knew it then, but that brief encounter would become a haunting clue in a story that would soon capture the nation. Days later, Gabby continued sharing glimpses of their journey online. Pictures from Bryce Canyon, Zion National Park, and Wyoming's breathtaking Grand Teton. Each post looked serene, but messages to her family told another story. Her parents sensed worry, confusion, and growing distance in her tone. On August 25th, Gabby called her mom for the last time. She sounded tired, but hopeful, promising she'd check in again soon. It was the final voice her mother would ever hear. By September, the once idyllic road trip had turned into a mystery. Gabby was missing, and Brian had returned home to Florida, alone. The van that symbolized freedom now stood in his driveway, a silent witness to everything that had happened. The online world exploded with questions. How could a young woman vanish in daybreak light on such a public trip? Why had her partner returned without her? And what secrets were hidden in the thousands of miles they traveled together? As days turned into weeks, the search for Gabby consumed headlines across America. TikTok users analyzed every photo, live stream, and timestamp, trying to piece together her final movements. True crime followers, detectives, and everyday citizens all joined a digital hunt that blurred the line between investigation and obsession. Meanwhile, Gabby's family made public pleas, holding on to hope. Her mother posted heartfelt messages, begging for any information that could bring her daughter home. Every news broadcast replayed the same clips: the van on an open road, the couple smiling beside canyon cliffs, the body cam footage that now felt chillingly different in retrospect. For many watching, Gabby became more than a name. She was the face of a generation that lived online, a reminder that what we share on social media can hide what we're truly going through. Her story resonated deeply with young travelers, couples, and families who saw their own dreams reflected in hers. But hope was beginning to fade. Investigators across state lines started tracing phone pings, surveillance footage, and credit card records, searching for answers somewhere along the miles of asphalt between Utah and Wyoming. The picture that emerged was complicated. Love, control, and quiet fear intertwined beneath the glossy surface of adventure. The dream was over. The road had gone cold. And what began as an inspiring journey of love and freedom had now become a race against time, one that would expose far more than anyone expected.
When Gabby Petito's family reported her missing in early September 2021, the world seemed to stop and listen. At first, it was just another missing person case, tragic but not uncommon. Yet within days, it spiraled into something far greater. Social media turned into a command center, and the internet united under one goal: find Gabby. Her smiling photos were everywhere, on Facebook feeds, TikTok videos, YouTube updates, and digital billboards across the country. The hashtag #FindGabbyPetito reached millions. People who had never met her searched old travel vlogs, police reports, and roadside footage. Strangers became investigators overnight, scouring maps of Utah and Wyoming, analyzing every clue like professional detectives. The FBI joined local authorities, combing through trails near Grand Teton National Park, the last place Gabby had been seen. Helicopters circled above, canine units searched miles of rugged terrain, and volunteers walked shoulder to shoulder across open fields, hoping for any sign of her. Meanwhile, the nation's attention shifted to one person, Brian Laundrie. He had returned home to Florida on September 1st, without Gabby, but with their van. Her belongings, her clothes, her journals, all were still inside. Yet Brian refused to speak to investigators, and within days, he became a person of interest. For Gabby's parents, every unanswered question cut deeper. Why wasn't he talking? Where was Gabby? How could someone come home from a road trip without the person they loved and stay silent? News channels ran 24-hour coverage, dissecting every angle of the case. The public watched press conferences where detectives urged calm, but behind their steady tone was clear urgency. Each passing day made the search harder. Every sunrise meant another night Gabby's family went without answers. Then, a turning point. A YouTuber's camera footage. A travel vlogger named Jen Bethune reviewed her own videos from Wyoming's Spread Creek camping area and noticed something. A white van parked oddly off the dirt road. The same make, the same stickers. It was Gabby's van. That discovery, shared online, gave investigators their first solid lead in days. Search teams rushed to the area, combing every inch of land near where the van had been seen. The clue would ultimately guide them toward a heartbreaking discovery. As the investigation intensified, the internet's obsession grew louder. Millions followed live streams of searches, dissected timestamps, and argued theories in real time. True crime creators, journalists, and ordinary users all contributed to what some called the largest crowdsourced manhunt in digital history. But behind the viral hashtags and breaking news headlines were real people, a grieving family, exhausted investigators, and an entire nation holding its breath. On September 19, 2021, authorities made a devastating announcement. A body matching Gabby Petito's description had been found near the Spread Creek area in Wyoming. The autopsy confirmed what everyone feared. She was gone. The dream that began as a symbol of freedom ended in tragedy. The case was no longer a missing person search. It was now a homicide investigation. In Florida, reporters gathered outside the Laundrie family home. Cameras flashed, drones hovered, and crowds demanded answers. But the house remained silent, curtains drawn. Within days, Brian himself disappeared, sparking yet another massive search, this time for the only person who might know the truth. Police scoured the Carlton Reserve, a vast swamp near his home, filled with alligators and thick underbrush. Days turned into weeks, and still no sign of him. The public's frustration grew. Online, some demanded justice. Others debated whether media bias had fueled the case's viral fame, pointing out that countless missing person cases never received such attention. Still, Gabby's story had struck a nerve. It wasn't just about a crime. It was about trust, relationships, and the hidden struggles people face behind their screens. Her smiling photos, once symbols of adventure, now felt like echoes of warnings unspoken. For her family, the loss was unbearable. Yet they chose to turn their pain into purpose, launching the Gabby Petito Foundation, dedicated to helping other missing person cases gain the attention they deserve. The story wasn't over. Not yet. Brian Laundrie was still missing, and the nation demanded answers. What had really happened on those long, lonely roads of the West? What words were exchanged in the final moments? And would the truth ever fully emerge from the silence? The van, the trails, and the memories remained, haunting symbols of a journey that began with love and ended in sorrow. But one question lingered above all others. How far can love go before it breaks?
The discovery of Gabby Petito's body sent shockwaves across the nation. For weeks, people had hoped she would come home, that somehow there would be a misunderstanding or a miracle. But now, the hope was gone, replaced by grief, disbelief, and a desperate need for answers. The FBI officially confirmed her death as a homicide, and almost immediately, attention shifted once again to the one man who could explain what happened, Brian Laundrie. But Brian had vanished. When investigators went to speak with him in Florida, his parents told police he had gone hiking days earlier and hadn't returned. The search expanded into the Carlton Reserve, a sprawling 25,000-acre wilderness filled with snakes, swamps, and deep water. For weeks, helicopters buzzed overhead, while search dogs and drones scoured the wetlands. As the hunt intensified, the story turned into a cultural event. News outlets broadcast live from Florida. True crime YouTubers dissected every detail: text messages, police footage, GPS data, and the nation once again divided between frustration, sympathy, and outrage. Then, on October 20th, 2021, investigators made another grim discovery. In a remote, marshy area of the Carlton Reserve, they found a dry bag, a notebook, and human remains. Dental records later confirmed it: Brian Laundrie. The notebook, soaked and damaged, was later recovered and analyzed by the FBI. Inside, investigators found what many suspected: a confession. Brian admitted responsibility for Gabby's death, writing that it was, in his words, a tragedy that spiraled out of control. For some, it brought closure. For others, it raised even more questions. What really happened in those final hours near the Wyoming campsite? What words were exchanged before the silence took over? Only two people truly knew. And now, both were gone. As the investigation closed, America was left staring at a mirror, reflecting not just a crime, but a generation's obsession with digital lives and public love stories. Gabby's case became more than a tragedy. It became a symbol of awareness, of how quickly a dream can turn into a warning. Her parents, through heartbreak, refused to let her story fade. They launched the Gabby Petito Foundation, using her name to help other missing persons, especially women and victims of domestic abuse. Through donations, partnerships, and awareness campaigns, they transformed their pain into a purpose that reached across the world. In interviews, Gabby's mother often said she believed her daughter's story would save lives, that people in unhealthy relationships would recognize the signs sooner, and that no one else would have to go through what she did. Across social media, fans, creators, and survivors began sharing her story with a new message: speak up, reach out, don't ignore the signs. Gabby's face,
once seen on missing posters, now stood as a reminder that behind every smiling post and filtered picture, there's a human story, one that deserves to be heard. The case also changed how law enforcement and the public handle missing person investigations. It showed the power of digital evidence, from travel vlogs to social media geotags, and how the online community can help uncover real-world truths. But it also sparked hard conversations about media coverage and why some stories gain worldwide attention while others don't. For YouTube creators, journalists, and the true crime community, the lesson was clear. Every voice matters, and every case deserves to be told. As the months passed, memorials for Gabby appeared across the country, from murals in New York to ribbons on van doors in Wyoming. People lit candles, shared her travel videos, and whispered prayers for peace. Her journey had ended, but her message continued to move millions. In the end, the Gabby Petito story isn't just about a tragedy. It's about love, awareness, and the truth that even in darkness, stories can bring light. As the screen fades to black, one line echoes softly through the voiceover. Cherish your loved ones, trust your instincts, and never be afraid to walk away from what doesn't feel right. Because sometimes the most powerful justice isn't found in a courtroom. It's found in the lives that change after the story is told.